Okay, baseball fans, we got a great guy here. We have Coach Joe Sperle with us. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Elizabeth?
I'm hanging in there. This is people are ask me, is this pre-recorded? I'm like, no, no, no. This is live.
This is
This is our
live. You've only
Tuesdays is
been
live.
going, yeah,
Yeah,
you've only been going since what 11 this morning, right? Off and
yeah,
on.
yeah. They're spaced out and everything, but there's energy going. You got to take care. It's like a little marathon running, maybe. But
Yeah,
anyway, yeah. Look at I'm all baseballed for you. So tell before I assume everybody knows you, but maybe not. So tell us who you are, and joesperle.com is where they go. And I'm going to put my hat on while you talk.
yeah. Great hat, Georgetown.
Yeah.
I'm Joe Sperle. I'm a professional baseball trailblazer and coach, consultant, executive, and played 30 years of sports and trained over 400 baseball players that went on to play in college, and then 48 of those were drafted. And then founded the Freedom Pro Baseball League in 2012 in Phoenix, Arizona, at the Giants, A's, Mariners, Padres, Indians, and Reds spring training complexes, and signed over 200 guys to their first professional contract. And one of the teams, as the jersey you have on, was the Arizona Centennials. Yeah, we had a great logo there. A guy did a really great job.
You can see
And,
that.
for people that from Arizona, was enacted in 1912, and 2012 was the 100-year celebration. So one of the four teams that we started was called the Centennials, that played at the first year at the San Francisco Giants spring training complex in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Wow. So amazing. Yeah. So you just know everything about baseball. I love this. And I love the word you picked. So here on the New Year Best You Summit, it's also called Dream Big, because we love to dream big and put in the work to get there. We ask our community every year to pick a word and kind of anchor in that word instead of doing resolutions and things like that. So our speakers did the same thing, and so far we've covered purpose, effort, and commitment. And Joe, what's your word?
Perseverance.
Yes, what a great word that is. That's a big word right there. Why perseverance?
Well, I think it's been a big part of my life, of growing up, and persevering, and finding my mom passed at age 11 was a huge traumatic event. And then my dad developed diabetes and had some PTSD, and also some family dysfunctional deaths in his family. So at age 11, I had to learn real quick what perseverance was to survive,
Yeah.
to really go through life. Like I said, in a post, life for me was like climbing Mount Everest in the winter with no shoes on, by myself with no guide.
That's a
So
lot.
it was quite the journey that I learned at a young age, and I think it was some that was instilled in me, and also from a teacher, was to really to strive to be the best. And when you run into a tough obstacle or a tough thing, not to give up, to overcome it. So I think for me, it's pretty much the big subject of my life, to go through what I did, and not give up. And I told some people and shared my story, and one of the things I've heard is, well, if that would have happened to me, I would have been bitter. And one of the things I always said is, if I would have been bitter and just kind of felt sorry for myself, I would have never accomplished what I did in school and sports, and coaching all these boys and young men, and then creating four teams in a minor league, which was a huge undertaking that I took on, and really used all of my life skills in sports and business to get that done.
Yeah, bitter's not in your wheelhouse, that's for sure. I know you pretty well at this point. That is not you at all. But people get bitter, and they do want to give up, and they don't know. They feel stuck. They don't know where to go. In sports, not everything is a yes. In life or in sports, it's not just things are handed to you. You really have to work for things. What is How can perseverance help? Like, if somebody's listening out there and they're like, perseverance, what do you want me to do here? How can that help somebody who's in that spot where they're stuck, or they don't know where to go, or, oh, there's all sorts of things that happen in sports.
Yeah, I think it really, when you come to a situation that really starts to be tough, whether it be, a family or life or job or sports, you have to come to a point where you're going to work hard and overcome that and really focus and or you kind of have to have like an inner soul driven, where you're driven to overcome this obstacle. And rather than look at it as a failure, you're going to look at it as something that you're going to overcome and make it a success. So I think that, when you come to a difficult time, rather than throwing in the towel, as we've seen in many businesses, I like to use like McDonald's, Ray Kroc and went on and look at what he's done, but he was turned down many times on what he wanted to do. So I think, for people, a lot of times it's an easy way out just to give up. But realistically, if it's a passion and a talent and a really gift that you have, you shouldn't let other people hold you back. And I think that I had an innate ability when I saw, like in sports, a coach or even a teacher sometimes that really we weren't on the same page and was trying to hold you back, that I would shift into overdrive and I would like, you're not going to hold me back. And I think that in life we run into that a lot, where whatever reason, many times that it should energize you when you see sometimes that people are being opposition, or sometimes they just are purposely doing it because they're not happy with their lives, to just really, that should feed fuel into you, not letting them hold you back.
Yeah. Do you have to, we talk about, for some reason, we've been talking a lot over the past few days about naysayers and dream crushers and what to do when you bump into them, because they're everywhere. If you can see it for yourself and you can visualize yourself doing it, and you bump into somebody who doesn't see the same thing for you or doesn't want that for you or whatever it is, what do you do to get around that naysayer or that dream crusher? Do you run in the opposite direction?
No, I think what you have to do is you have to recognize that there are people that are just going to be different, or they're not going to have the same, mindset, and they aren't going to have being happy for others, and they sometimes aren't happy in their life. So when they try to, like you said, I call them sometimes dream stealers, where they're trying to, hold you back and you don't even know it. I think that should be a fuel, that you're on a track to really something that people see, but they don't want to really watch you overcome that and pass them up. And I think that when I saw that, which was many times especially in sports, that I would just had an ability to just say, okay, let's just hang on, because you're not going to hold me back, and really work hard and focus and really, spend many hours to learn, I think, and read and be better. I think so many times people don't continue to better themselves. They kind of, like you said, get stuck in a rut, and they don't, ever reach their fulfillment because they don't believe in themselves too. I think many times I always had a high belief in my ability in school and sports. So I never would ever kind of think that, I didn't have the ability. But I think that many people don't have that from my years on in this earth, is to watch people. I think it takes somebody there to give the push, as like a mentor, to be there, that's been down the road.
Yeah. What do you do? How do you root in this word? How do you get there if perseverance isn't in your wheelhouse, but giving up isn't either? You're kind of like maybe somewhere in between. Maybe life's carrying you, and you're riding the wave, but you're not quite commit. Does that make sense? Not totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You basically need that little push.
Yeah.
That little encouragement that we all do, and some have where they need less encouragement, but there's some that need more encouragement. And I think you have to really reach out and find somebody that really has been down the path that you are trying to get, and that can help you navigate that path in business, sports, life, so that they can be there and telling you when you're at a point where you're not believing in yourself, and they can say, no, you're right there, and can help you. I think that in this day and age, a mentor is so important in business, life, sports, that's been down that path, an untraveled path that you're trying to go.
Yeah. Do you think it's hard these days for younger folks to understand the importance of a mentor? One of the things that, I'm a mom of four boys. They're adults now, I guess you could call them. They're not really boys. They're boys, but they're older. They're 21, 23, 25, and 27. And we've always said to them, one of the ways that we got to where we are is mentors. Older people who've been down that flight path over and over again. They've done it and seen it, and they're willing to turn around and help you get there. Like Sally Huss is a huge mentor of mine. You're a mentor of mine. You guys are, and it doesn't really necessarily have to be somebody older than you. It could be a peer. There's so many people that teach us things, but what do you have to do to be open to receiving that information from people? Is it coachable?
Yeah,
coachability.
I think you really hit on a big thing. I think that I would really give the message to the younger generation to really open your mind and try and really learn and be respectful, and really see that there's a lot of wisdom. There's a saying that you can't buy wisdom, and I firmly believe that 100%. You can go to all the best colleges in the world, and you cannot learn wisdom. So when somebody has been down a life path and has been 50, 60 years, and you should reach out to them and really learn and cherish the time that you can spend with them, because they had to go down the hard knocks. Many of them, there's never been anybody that didn't have a tough road. But to learn and open your mind, I think, and respect and open the mind are the two big things, Elizabeth.
Respect is a big word. Yeah, respecting people is huge. What about your book? Let's talk about your book a little bit. I don't know if you have a copy there.
Yeah, I got a copy.
Well, if you did. JoeSperle.com, and your book is The Athlete's Guide to Success. Tell us about why you wrote this book.
Yeah, I wrote the book, with all the years of playing, and then all the years of doing individual lessons and coaching, I started to see where there were many that, like I said, over 400 went on to play in college, but there were also many that went down a road that was shown to them as in the tournament team, to where there was going to be this gold pot at the end of the road. And I like to say that it ended up being kind of a landmine. So I started to see many of these were quitting playing sports at age 13, 14, 15. So I said there's a need to educate the athletes and the parents so that they can reach their potential, develop and advance, and have fun life developing experiences. And in my life, sports was a big part of my journey, and I had many great fun times, but it also was a development time for me and we didn't have the big thing now in sports is the tournament teams, and almost all sports, they play, weekends, and they have some practices. And so what happens is that they're just trying to specialize in that, and then they end up getting burnout, overuse, injuries, not having fun. They're feeling a lot of pressure from the coaches, a lot from the parents. And it really saddened me to see that many of these didn't reach their potential because they didn't have a mentor, and they weren't listening and open their mind and understanding that many of these can be a false hope road. I mean, there is good tournament teams and there's good coaches, but there's also many, that have the false hope, and they're not. The parents and athletes are not educated. I think that's the two basic things that they need to really, again, open their mind and do whatever they can to be educated, and listen to people that have the experience and are trying to help and that care about you. I think in the sports world, we've talked about this, Elizabeth, there's a lot of people in the sports world, and coaches, but there really isn't a lot that truly care about the boy or the girl playing the sport. And I think that's a big thing. When you find a coach that truly cares about your son or daughter, you need to hang on to him or her.
a whole different thing. That developmental part of it is so missing in places. It just is. And so when you find somebody like you, and you know how to develop people to reach their potential, it's there aren't any words that can express it. Even I'm not sure what quite the word is for it, but it I don't know.
Yeah,
I see all around a lack of developing people. It's in business, it's in sports, it's in everything. And I feel like so much energy should be placed with developing people, and we just maybe don't do that right, or do it. I don't know why.
that's
I
a
don't know.
very good point. I think the things from my experience is it's a hard thing to communicate and know how to learn about a person and see the personality and then develop them in whatever
Yeah,
skill it may be and talent, and also caring to want them. I say to pass you up. I think a lot of people don't want somebody to develop and go on and do what they never did, which is not a good sign of a good coach or mentor. I've always thought and told anybody that I coached, I want them to go on and do better than I ever did. And I think that has to be a mindset of somebody developing and teaching, that they want them in their heart to go on and learn from what they went through. And I think it's a hard thing to do. As you do a lot of things in business, and it takes a lot of years of experience, and it takes a certain personality to be able to get to know somebody and communicate them to help them develop and to reach their potential.
yeah. I'm going to come back. I hope everybody just heard that. I'm going to come back and write that down word for word and make it a joke quote, because that was so well said. That's like the heart of Best Ever You. I live my life just like wanting everybody to just thrive,
Yeah.
and God bless you all for whatever you do. It's amazing. And I just always think there's plenty of room, but you bump into people and they don't see it that way. They don't see that there's plenty of room, and you're bumping elbows with folks that just don't like have your best interests at heart. And it's wild. And you have this word. Well, before I go there, before I go to the narcissism word and the narcissistic word, I want to ask you if there's somebody out there listening and they are in a spot where we're just going to go right there. Their child is in with a bad coach. And I don't know what the definition exactly is of bad coach. Maybe you can clean that up for me a little bit. But they don't feel like they have anywhere to turn. What do they do? Because it happens over and over and over again.
That's a great question, and it's happening more and more that I see weekly and hear stories. And I think the number one thing is you have to understand that that's not you when you're running into coaches that are verbally abusing you, or not. They're devaluing you. They're not seeing your ability, and you're frustrated, and you're kind of in that position where you're stuck. You feel many times of quitting. You should definitely reach out, to me. Go to my website, my email, and I will help you, move through that obstacle, because many times they see things and then they run into a tough coach that doesn't, like you said, a bad coach. As I put in the book, is somebody that really doesn't have your best interest, and is more for his own accolades, or his own accolades, or her own accolades, and really doesn't see the strengths and weaknesses that you have and can help you develop, and really doesn't care. So it's a real common thing in this day, and I've helped so many. And I've recently just heard some really tough stories that happens at all levels, that people that are playing sports, young men, women, boys, girls, do not let a coach and a bad experience stop you from playing. Reach out and send me an email, and I will help you do whatever I can to continue to play, because you don't want to be that person in 10 years that says, I wish I would have kept playing because I had one bad coach. You know how many times, Elizabeth, I've been, over the years of doing hundreds of individual lessons, I've had parents, both dads and moms tell me that they wish they'd had a coach like me because they played sports and ran into a bad coach, and they quit playing because of that one bad coach.
The other thing too that I love about you is that you don't blow smoke. There's reality here as well.
Mm-hmm.
You will tell somebody how they are.
Yeah.
Real. There's no like you're the best thing ever. It's and you might be a great person and all that stuff, but you help people have an accurate assessment of their skills, their character, their integrity, their abilities, their potential, their development, and everything. And it's from what I've seen, spot on. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think the part that I'm seeing in sports that I don't like is when you're taking a boy or girl, a young woman, a young man, and you're giving them false hope.
Yeah.
That really is that's almost like, to me it's almost like worse than robbing a bank, because you're stealing somebody's future, and you're taking advantage of their parents and their naiveness for your personal gain of winning and monetary gain. That really is just so upsetting and frustrating. And I've seen so many times that, my one goal, if anything, is to try and stop this from happening, because it's just something that's really a big passion, and it really crushes my heart when I see so many of these talented, boys, girls, young men and women be taken advantage of because they don't have the education and they don't have a mentor, and they're really just putting their confidence in their future in a coach that really doesn't have their best interest, and is all, like you said, they're playing this little false hope game that really Elizabeth has a deep trauma effect that I'm working with many to get that out, that many don't want to talk about it because it's such a deep trauma that they were hoodwinked and taken advantage of.
They got a lot of undoing, and that's I have a Georgetown hat on for a reason.
Yes.
We love Coach T and their team, and, and
Yeah.
all the coaches there are. I have a child. I must disclose. I have a child who plays college baseball and is actually down in North Carolina with you right now.
Right.
I don't know if he's in the room or anything like that, but
we just
hanging out with you
this afternoon. Yeah, we had a great workout. Yeah.
The development. I mean, we saw him this summer go from here to there, and it was the coolest thing ever. And to transfer to Georgetown has been, he's living his dream.
Yeah, that it's really been great to be a part of that, and watching him, over the last 3-4 years, and seeing, his hard work and his aspirations and talent, and things were just frustrated for him, and spent many times talking with him and working with him. And now, like I said last year, to come down here, and it's like he has a whole new life, and he opened a whole new, turn the page, and it's just smiling from ear to ear, and
different human being.
It's just a great story that really can happen when you really move out of a situation, and move into something in an area where you should be, and have somebody believe in you, and can see the energy, the total different energy that he's in now. I mean, it's going to be something that he'll never forget.
He loves going down there. He full on moved himself down there this past summer. Stayed with the host family. Pitched for the High Point Hush Puppies.
Hush Puppies, yes.
And Coach Rob Shore, we love you, Coach Shore. And
we were with him today.
So it's just cool. And then Georgetown was there in the house when he was pitching, and he transferred, and it's really cool. So that's just a personal success story.
Yes.
That's yours. It's amazing, and his and stuff like that. So it's and what I always say is it's not my dream, it's his dream. It's not my dream for him to that it's his dream, and it's so cool to see the different smile on his face, and the different energy, and the different everything. You can just feel, because this is a human being who, since he could crawl, had something in his left hand throwing it. He just was that human. Like, my husband was like, wow, I don't know what he's going to be a baseball player probably. That's that motion and energy and everything since he was little, and so it's cool to see. But anyway, can you talk about, I don't know if you want to, but can you talk about Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is a really good example of somebody that was very talented in college, and then was picked number one, draft pick, which is a huge thing, and then went to the Cleveland Browns, who have been just pretty much terrible. They wear brown bags there. If any of the Cleveland Browns fans,
I'm a Browns fan.
Yeah, so,
oh man,
used to wear the brown bags and cover the eyes, but he took that team and just turned it around. It was amazing. That's a hard thing to do in the NFL is to be a one quarterback that can take a team. Usually it takes 5-6 many years, but it was pretty incredible what he did there. And I'm crazy the way that the Browns kind of just turned on him and decided that he wasn't the one for them, and they kind of started bringing guys in, and North Carolina, the Panthers picked him up, Carolina Panthers, and then he struggled there with their coaches, their play design, and then saw some things and asked for his release, and now had took over the Rams and is really now showing his ability. Yeah. It's a prime example.
Come back, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I cheered for football, so I kind of know football better than baseball. But
and it's amazing, and it's
back to see.
I think it's great you brought him up because he's a prime example of a very talented, gifted quarterback that organizations, general managers, owners, coaches just didn't really. They believed in him, then all of a sudden something happened, they didn't, and then he went to another team that there wasn't that connection, and everybody thought he just wasn't, he maybe had a couple good years, but now he's done. And then Stafford gets hurt, he goes there, and I mean he's just turned the whole team around, and they're gonna, they're just it really. I've seen this happen so many times in sports, and that's why anybody that really has some passion and talent should never give up, because there was
I see the smile on I see the smile on Baker Mayfield's face, and it's the same one Dan's got. It's like ear to ear.
Yeah,
it's the cutest thing.
It's great when one thing, and I've been through this. When you take a talented and gifted athlete that you try to hold back or not, you basically aren't giving them the opportunity to play, and you're holding them back. A good athlete will say they'll work harder, as he's proven. And Peyton Manning was another one. If we stay on the football, when the Colts didn't want to give him a contract because they were afraid of his neck was being injured, and then he goes to the Broncos and wins the Super Bowl. Brett Favre was another one that was staying on the football side, to where the Packers said, he retired, and then they brought in Aaron, and then he said, wow, I want to come out of retirement. And then he went over to the Vikings, which is the big rivalry of the Packers.
No.
And he beat the Packers and almost took them to the Super Bowl. It was one game away. So when people, coaches, general managers, organizations try to hold back a talented, gifted athlete that has a lot of perseverance, it's fun to watch them because, like I used to always say, hang on. You try and hold a good athlete back. Just hang on and watch.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then the other thing that I love about you also is that if one door opens, something else might in the sport. So I think I think of Tony Romo when I'm saying this. I love listening to Tony Romo. He explains football so well, and he has the intuition and anticipates what's going to happen, says it, and then, there it is, it happens. It's the coolest thing to listen to because you learn. Can you talk about him for a little bit?
Yeah, I think he was a guy that really had a great career, and then had some injuries, and then just really found his second profession of using all of his years of watching all that film. When you're a quarterback in the NFL, you probably sit in the film room and watch 2-3 hours a day. So you can tell he's done that, and now he's able to relate that to the fans watching the game on what's going to happen here and draw it on the screen. It really is, become one of the best analysts that really give a lot of insight that most fans have no clue about what goes on behind the doors to get to that point of that play taking place.
Yeah.
And it's just a real shows to his knowledge and his years of experience and how to, like we said, communicate that to the fans so that they're enjoying that.
Yeah. And, what do you do when you're such a gifted athlete that you can play golf too, and probably baseball, and whatever else, it's like, I have so many choices.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can, and you'll find that in a lot of gifted athletes like that. No matter what they do, they're just naturally good at it. It's what I call natural. It's a natural gift. It's kind of like, I like to, people say, well, what do you mean about it's a God-given gift? I say, well, it's like, how can you explain Stevie Wonder being able to play the keys when he's blind? And it's the same way with a natural born athlete, that anything that they pick up the golf club or throw the baseball, football, basketball, and that's the way things were for me. It just came naturally. There wasn't anybody who told me how to shoot a basketball, hold a basketball, throw a football. It's just a gift, and people have other gifts of, like you, of writing and some speaking and teaching, and I think that's a big thing in today's world. And your summit is finding your passion and try to find a purpose that you can really enjoy life and make a difference in the world, and really every day just impact. And I think we're all given gifts and talents.
Well, that's my goal, one cookie at a time, really. That's my real thing that I love to do, is make cookies. They're coming your way.
You make good ones, that's for sure.
They're fun. So anyway, is there anything else? We're going to go because we're at the 30-minute mark, and it's just quick. It's just a quick 30-minute kind of interview. But we'll get up one more time. And everybody can go to joesperle.com. There it is, The Athlete's Guide to Success. That's a great book right there. And joesperle.com. Any other spots? You're on Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter.
Yep.
At Joe Sperle 7.
Yep.
I would.
Is 7 your number? I always wanted to ask that. Is 7 your number? Why 7? Is 7 your number?
7 was my number.
Okay,
I always like 7 because 7 was lucky 7, and it's in the Bible a lot. The 7 days of the week. A lot of on the seventh day God created light. So I just always kind of like that number, and it has a lot of meaning. So I would really suggest anybody that has boys or girls playing sports to really just get the book and read it and really become educated and reach out. I've offered my email at the end of the book, and really don't let your son or daughter be held back, and persevere, because we all run into roadblocks and hurdles, but when we persevere, there's a lot of fulfillment in that, and we reach our potential by not giving up, because giving up admits defeat. And I think from my heart, I want to see girls and boys continue to play and reach their potential and have fun, positive, life developing experiences.
Yeah. Thank you. That's so well put. 2 more quotes coming out. Anyway, all right.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much.
It was great. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, you got to be exhausted, so you got to get some rest. So
hat on now. I might keep it on.
Yeah, I love the hat and the jersey. That jersey brings back great memories.
Yeah, it's a great jersey. It's
get those jerseys.
Knees, but
to get those jerseys done, I'll have to share that. That was a story of 4 or 5 companies just to finally get a jersey done. Really? So it was a persevering thing that I'll have to share that someday. Just that jersey that you have on took 6 months and 4 companies to find that, to get that done. So
I've got a 1 on the back too.
Yeah. There you go.
Really
Number
cool.
1.
Number 1. All right. Lots of love.
Okay.
Out of camp.
Okay.
All right.
See ya.
Take care. Thanks for being here.